Hi guys, and if any of you have watched our build of the Associated B6.4, you'll see we put a geared diff in it. But today we are going to go with putting a ball diff in it. So we've got the part 91992. Here it is, and we are going to build it up pretty much as per the manual. There's a couple of little things in there I might do slightly different, but we'll show you how we build up the ball diff. So with this kit, you've got two different greases. You've got a clear silicone grease and a black molybdenum grease, I believe that is. We will use both of these. I mean, there's not a lot in there, but we might as well use them up. So the first step is to put a small amount of grease. You'll see I've started already. Put a small amount of grease in the holes of here just to lubricate the balls. And it says in the manual there's 3 dots on there. If you put it down that way, when you then put your balls in, it literally, they don't fall through. They just push them in and they don't fall out. Well, they don't fall all the way through. Put them the other way around, they may fall out. But we'll just go around now and just put the rest of them in. So there we go. All the diff balls are now in there, so we can put that to one side. Then we have our, I've got to say, these diff balls are actually the carbide diff balls, so they will last a good amount of time. They're not just normal steel balls, so that is a good little bit there. The outdrive, first outdrive, and it recommends putting a small amount of the clear silicone grease on the back here where the washer goes on, where the or the ball drive ring, whatever you want to call it, goes on there like that. There we go, that's that one done. And we do exactly the same with this one. That goes on there like so. We can then assemble our thrust race. Now, if you ever have problems with your diff or it goes graunchy, the chances are it is your thrust race which is the problem. So this is the part that you'll probably want to replace the most. Now it has 3 parts to it. You have 2 of these little cupped washers, if you can see. That one goes on there. These are not different sizes, they're both the same size, and this is where you use the black grease. On this you use the black grease. Now here is our black grease. Now what it recommends is putting some grease into that groove. So I've added some black grease, I'll focus, onto the grooved side of the washer, and then it recommends the thrust race. You install the cage thrust race. Now this is actually encapsulates the balls in there, so you haven't got to worry about them falling out or anything. So you just slide it on top of your screw like so, and then add some more grease to the top of those balls. Put a reasonable amount on there, and then slide on your second washer like so. And what I now do is put them down tight and get a tissue and just wipe off the excess grease just around the outside of it, because obviously any of this grease will actually attract dust, so you don't want that. And you can see, if it will focus on me, there we've got the grease, or the majority of the grease, off there. So that's our thrust race assembled. We then have a couple of bearings to put in our outdrives. One goes in there like so. We can then pass, and what it recommends is putting this on the end of a 2mm wrench, pass that through here like so. We've already got our bearing on there, and we can then put our diff gear on like so. And then there's another bearing goes in the center. You see there's a gap there, there's a recess, just goes on there like so, like that. And then we get our other diff half, which has got the part there which will locate into the bearing. Put it on there. You can actually already start to feel what sort of action you've got. It should be nice and smooth. And you then have a spring. The spring goes on the side where the nut goes. What I'm actually going to do is, just so you can see, I'm going to take it out of the driver there. So the spring goes in there. Spring goes in there. I don't know if you can see it. It's not particularly clear. And then we have this nut assembly, which slides into the recess there. And those little tangs on it just locate into there so it doesn't spin round. And we can then tighten up our diff. Now it recommends to completely compress the spring, and the way you know that is you see that little white tang of the nut. You need to keep tightening until that goes all the way to the bottom, and you'll feel it go tight. Now, that's not quite all the way to the bottom, but that's good enough for me. So I'm not going to keep making it any tighter because you like to strip the threads. Let's feel what sort of action we've got there. Yeah, there's some action there. That feels pretty good. And what it recommends is now back that off 1/8 of a turn. So we'll do that. 1/8 of a turn. And how does that feel? That feels nice and smooth. What you can do, we'll actually check when it's in the car. I always check when it's in the car to see the correct feel for the diff and the correct tightness, because you don't want this slipping. You must make sure your slipper clutch slips. They do sound a little bit similar, but you can tell the difference. Once you know it, you can tell it's more of a squawk from the Ball Diff. And if you have that, you want to stop your car immediately, because it will just mess up the diff internals and you'll have to replace the rings, potentially the balls as well. So that is almost done. It does recommend putting this cap on here over the top of your diff bolt head to keep some of the dirt out. But I've actually known that some of the team drivers don't bother with that, so we may leave that out. Unfortunately, if you do run these, you are going to have to rebuild them relatively regularly. And as I say, the thrust race is the part that causes a problem. So we're going to put it in the car, and then we will show you the correct tension on it, or the correct tightness of it. Okay guys, so to remove or to fit in the Ball Diff, we've obviously got to take the gearbox off. I've already just taken off one of the shocks just to make it easier so you can see what actually happens, and I've also undone most of the screws. You've got 2 screws on the back here. They are actually the longest, those 2. You've then got one which goes all the way through that part of the diff casing there, and then 2 in there, if you can see. So if we remove all of those, the diff case then just comes off. Like so. And there is our gear diff, which is in the car. It just pulls out. Now the beauty of the Associated is the distance between these drive cups on both diffs is exactly the same, so you haven't got to change the length of your drive shafts, unlike another well-known make. Now there's an important thing when you're fitting these, which you haven't got to worry too much when you're doing a gear diff, but you need to make sure the nut or the head of the bolt is on the right hand side of the car, because if it's on the left, there's a chance that it could undo itself when it is driving along, or when you're driving it. So the only thing we're going to do now is we're just going to swap over these bearing holders, which obviously give you the diff height options. We are, I think, too high on this one, so we'll just put that on there, and then the diff literally just slides in there like so. And I'm just going to put a small amount more lubricant on there, because this is a new car. It's only done about 2 meetings, so there isn't a massive amount of grease in there. I've just put a bit of grease on there. I haven't gone overboard. We've just worked that round. The eagle-eyed view would have noticed I haven't put the drive shafts in, but we can rectify that. Now it's just a case of putting our diff casing back on. Need to slide it into that locating point there. Then just a case of 2 screws in the back there, long screw through there, and those 2 done up there, and of course put the shock back on. Check how this diff is working. I hold my finger on the spur, hold that wheel, and then turn that. Now if you can see, there's the slipper or the lay shaft. That needs to turn before your diff turns. It's not. So the diff is a fraction loose, and I can feel it. You can feel it slipping in there. You mustn't run a Ball Diff loose, because you'll just destroy it. So we just need to get a little hex, 2mm hex into there, into that diff cup, and just give it about a quarter of a turn. Now you can quick way just to pop this ball joint off, but I never like popping these ball joints off more than I have to, so I'm actually going to use a 2mm driver just to unscrew the ball stud, because you can guarantee if you keep popping these off, they will pop off during the race. Make sure you don't lose any of your washers from underneath. Put that in there, and I can feel that it's tightened up a fraction, so we'll just put the drive shaft back in, and then we'll do our same check. That's much better. Now our lay shaft is actually turning before the diff, so we're happy with that. We will then just break it in at the track gently. Just hold one wheel, just give it a small amount of rev one way, then do the same on the other, and then it's pretty much ready to go. We'll do some fine adjustments on the track, listen for a chirp sound, which will be your ball diff. You say you mustn't have that slip, the slipper clutch must slip first. So we're going to give it a test. Where are we going to end up? Right guys, so here we are at Coastal. Give this a little shakedown. It is the evening, so the light is starting to go. Hope this video will come out alright. Got the ball diff in it. Straight away, feel it's a lot better. Smoother to drive and accelerates smoother, it's better over the bumps. We've got 6.5 turn motor in it. Plenty of power. Haven't got particularly new tyres on it. It's soaking up the bumps nicely. Trying to launch it too much over that jump. You can really push it into those corners there. Got the punch to just double those. We have played about with the speedo settings. We don't run any turbo on this. Really good through that switch back there. I think the driver just lets it down. A bit too hot into that. Yeah, ball diff, definitely for a surface like this, it's the choice to go. So we'll do a few more laps. But this car is awesome. The amount of grip it's got around here compared to the X-Red I used to run, and it pretty much is not far off kit setup. Really like this car. So hope that's been a little bit of interest. We'll do a few more if people are interested in the Associated. The big scale stuff seems to be a little bit more popular, but if you do like it, then let us know and we'll do some more videos.